right, now the beauty of going to a therapist's office is you absolutely know it's going to be confidential, right? Man, I've sat in that therapist's office, and I think the only way therapy works is when you verbalize your ugliness. Mm-hmm. You got to get real honest, man. Mm-hmm. And you can't try to cater to be liked.
Yeah. I used to.
Even by yourself.
Especially by yourself or your therapist. Ooh. Been doing therapy for a very long time. Highly recommended, by the way.
Yeah, look how adjusted you are.
It's worked wonders. Think of how much worse I could be. So I used to, in the beginning, be like, okay, don't judge me. Preface before I said anything. But now it's just like, because you have to strip those layers and just be so raw in order to get to the crutch of the issue.
I needed therapy after I went to therapy.
Yeah, right?
I needed more.
There were times where I sat in that therapist's office and the words that were coming out of my mouth, I was totally ashamed by. But I think you got to go through that in order to get to the good stuff.
That and, man, I love my therapist because she's not afraid to call me out on my BS.
Yes.
I need somebody that's going to hold me accountable. And in the last couple of therapy sessions, there have been things that have said that hit in the gut. And I revert back to this little kid. And not that a little kid being reprimanded, but knowing you did something wrong and your parents not mad, they're just disappointed kind of thing. And it's you're right, but I don't want you to be right.
What bothered me the most about my therapist is I realize in conversation when I'm talking to somebody, I look at their face to kind of determine how crazy they think I am. Mm-hmm. And the fact that no matter what I say, she gives me nothing. Right. It just bothers me.
Makes her crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be responding to that.
Do something.
I made my therapist cry twice. That's a good therapist right there. That's what I needed, man. I was like, this isn't a big deal, but, and then she starts tearing up. I'm like, so it is, huh?
I'm messed up.
Right. All right, so why am I even saying this? Well, at least when you do that and you're 100% honest and you're in a therapist's office, it's confidential. It's not going anywhere. But now with teletherapy, which I totally support, you got to kind of watch who's in the house and who's in the next room.
Well, because I did teletherapy during the pandemic, because this was, I think it even gained more popularity during the pandemic when we were doing telehealth appointments. I now prefer to be in person for that reason right there, because defined if, you're living with somebody else, and not to say I talk about my spouse or my husband in any of my therapy appointments.
Of course not. You don't want the dogs to hear.
Exactly.
You talking crap about them.
No, but I distinctly remember having a telehealth appointment and, being upstairs in the bedroom, and Bart came up there and he was doing stuff in the room.
Ooh, no.
But he was completely, and I looked at him and I'm like, I'm in the middle of a therapy appointment, and his face, he was like, oh, my bad. And he tiptoed out of the room and left, but he was just completely oblivious. He just thought I was talking, venting to one of my girlfriends.
He probably had his headphones on, right? He wasn't paying attention.
Anyway. Yeah. Well, you got lucky because you weren't talking about Bart at the time or, anything that would really offend him. But here's how this email goes, is because she listened to her boyfriend's session, stumbled upon it, and what he said in that session has rocked her world, and she's not exactly sure how to bring it up to him. So she writes, and if you have anything you want to share with us, go ahead and hit us up at thebertshow.com. I'm so confused, and I got nobody to talk to about this. My boyfriend has been going through a really tough time all the way around. His parents are pressuring him so hard, even though he just graduated college. He's having serious problems with some of his coworkers. A bunch of his friends have deceived him lately. He's a mess. Anyway, he started talking to an online therapist, and he says it's really helped. So what's the problem, right? I'm usually not home when he has these therapy sessions. Last week I was. He was in a spare room with the door closed. At the time, I could hear talking, but had no idea what was happening. As I approached the door, I could tell he was talking to his therapist. But at the same time, I heard my name mentioned. So, of course, I stayed and I listened.
That's such a breach of
everything.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the right word, but it really is.
All right, let's be 100% with each other, though. Would you be able to turn away and go, I shouldn't hear this? Okay. And you just heard your name through the door.
20-year-old Kristen would sat there with my ear pressed to the door listening. Now, Kristen would not. Because that's just so disrespectful to your partner. I mean, this is and the fact that your partner is doing therapy, I think it takes such a huge step to even get into the right mindset of where you are willing to receive therapy and go to therapy. That's such a huge hurdle for people. And so the fact that somebody is doing this to better themselves and now you're eavesdropping on that conversation, that's just dirty.
I'll be honest. It would depend on how healthy my relationship is at the time. Like if my relationship was in a good place and I had no concerns, I would walk away. I wouldn't even want anything to get in the way. But if I had concerns about what she may actually truly think about me, I probably would listen. Younger
me would have done the same thing. I would have listened. Older me definitely would continue to listen.
Are you serious?
I would be able to pull myself away from that. I'm being honest, man. If I hear my name, I'm probably sticking around.
But it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah. You're right. You're very right.
You're right.
And ethical.
Right.
I'm just being realistic.
Okay.
Tommy.
20-year-old me would have listened at the door with my ear pressed up against me. Now I would have got a glass so I could hear better.
Does that even work? I don't even think that. I don't think that even.
Doesn't really work? No. I doubt it.
All right, so we're not done with this email. He was questioning his feelings for me and wondering if he still hasn't gotten over his last girlfriend. She writes, that was, capital letters, 2 years ago. I listened to him tell his therapist all the things he missed about her. I had no idea he was dealing with these feelings for his ex. Now I have no idea what to do. Obviously, this was a confidential conversation, but I did overhear it. What to do?
You did not overhear it. You eavesdropped. There's a difference.
Tomato, 1-855 Bert Show. Look, she still heard it, man. So
you can't say anything. That was a private conversation between him and his therapist. That is none of your damn business.
So you can't say anything about it at all?
What you should do and what I would do are two different things in this situation. I don't think you should say anything about it at all because you weren't meant to hear it. You went out of your way to. You have to now live with that and hold it.
That's your punishment.
That's what you should do. That's how it should be.
But
what I would do is I would find a way, like a strategic way to bring it up without directly bringing it up and then try to get to the bottom of it.
Like, what's a strategic way to get around that? Hey, just wondering, you still having feelings for your girlfriend?
You gotta.
I know this sounds random.
I have the perfect way. I had a dream about your ex last night.
That's one way.
You were like trying to get back with her.
And he's going to go, that's ridiculous. And now
you know he's a liar.
Now you're in more hot water.
Exactly.
I don't think you can say anything at all.
You shouldn't.
I think he's got to work through it in therapy.
You know what? I suggest you go to therapy to talk about what you overheard in his therapy sessions.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched? Well, you can get a lot more of The Bert Show for free on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.